Hello everybody, fellow camera enthusiasts, YouTube people. I know it's been a while, but I'm back with another video regarding the Sony RX10 Mark IV right here in my hot little hand. And of course a nice cup of coffee. Late Sunday, need to pick me up. Anywho, I did have a little adventure between the time that I talked to you last, and that was an acquisition of another camera. I know, GAS, Gear Acquisition Syndrome. But I did it, I guess, just to test myself. It was a kit that was on sale at the time. It was a 24 to 120 lens. Some of you might know what model and manufacturer the camera was and is. And that was the Nikon Z8 or Z8. I was intrigued by all the press there was on the camera. The sensor, of course, which is a little bit more than double than the RX10 Mark IV. My hypothesis, which I've done with other camera systems that had the larger sensor, was, you know, you can crop more, of course, you know, and still gain more sharpness, et cetera, et cetera. But I was intrigued by everything that camera had to offer. And let me tell you, more than I could handle. There's so many things in that camera, so many menus. And I gave it a test run for about a week to 10 days. Now I did get it from B&H Photo, and I just want to mention them. I don't get paid for any of this, but I have never, ever had a problem with B&H Photo. As I said, I got the Z8 in the kit. It was at a good price, and you really couldn't find the 24 to 120 lens by itself that was available at that time, and this was a couple weeks ago. But I sent a request to return it. This is, you know, barely used. I still had all the original packaging, boxes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, sent it back to them. Got a credit within a day. So, you know, you knew it had to be almost perfect when they received it. But again, B&H Photo, good on you. I mean, tremendous, tremendous company. Regardless, this camera here that I always go back to is still the bellwether for an all-in-one camera or bridge camera, or whatever, you know, nomenclature you want to put on it. Because it almost does everything that all the other cameras do with this 1-inch 20 megapixel sensor, that I can still print 13-inch by 4-foot prints, and they still look fabulous. And I've sold quite a few of them. But I just had to see what all the hubbub, what all the press, what all the platitudes were for the Z8. And I give it a shot. But something has to tell you that Sony with the RX10 Mark IV, still at $16.99, and it might have been discounted when it first came out. Was it 5 years ago now? Maybe 6? And there's no camera in this category which touches it. And it hasn't been discounted. I've said this before. You know, you just got to wonder. I mean, wow. You know? And it's just, everything falls into place. The wonderful, wonderful 24 to 600 lens on this camera. I mean, it's on, boom, takes about a second. Not as bad as a Hasselblad XC, was it 1D? You know, the 50 megapixel camera. I was very tempted on that just because it's hand built and all that sort of thing. It would just, it would just be for landscapes or portraits or whatever. But you gotta like something that's handmade from Sweden. Well, okay, yeah, carries a lot of weight. But this thing starts up so fast and zooms out to 600 millimeters. Or if you got the optical zoom, goes out twice as far, 1200 millimeters. It still takes a great picture. And if you want to get crazy, you can go out to 2400 millimeters. Now, okay, there's going to be some picture degradation, and you better be very steady and have a fast shutter speed if you don't have a tripod. But this is the camera that most people need for anything. I've shot equestrian events, getting as good pictures as people out there with $20,000 systems, meaning a big long ass lens. Okay, you're looking into the $12,000 to $16,000 range, $3,000 to $4,000 camera body. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And I'll post some of these pictures, throughout the video so you can see what I'm talking about. Now, the only thing as a detraction, which some people say about this, is when you're taking a picture or taking a series of pictures, you have to zoom to that quadrant or, that picture area you want to do before you can take the picture. You have to wait for it to get to that zoom. But I mean, it's just like, okay, there we go, there we go, there we go. I mean, you can pretty well put that down to practice, okay? Now, if you've got, a regular zoom, you're doing it with the, with the zoom ring, which I can still do on this if you want to. See, we can do it right here, okay? I mean, it takes a long time to go from 24 to 600, but if you're using it with the zoom electric drive, I mean, that's pretty good. So I don't think that's a bad knock against this camera at all. The other thing I like about it is the menu system that you have to be very creative with how you're going to take the picture. And that's the picture profile, which you can have a number of picture profiles you want to preset into the camera at all. And if you shoot JPEG, and I'm going at the back of the camera now, you can go to picture effect, okay, which I use from time to time. You have toy, pop, retro, soft, selective color, blue, yellow, red, green, which basically will take a picture and whatever that color is will come out. The rest of it's black and white. High contrast black and white, soft focus, painting, HDR painting. That's quite a different look. Rich black and white. Miniature. I never really used that. Now the ones I use are watercolor and illustration high. And again, I'll put some of those pictures in so you can see what I mean. But it gives you a different effect over and above the regular pictures that you take, with a pro camera. Now I know some of them have this type in there, the picture effects or whatever. But I don't think anybody does it as well as Sony with this specific camera. And all these are just the touch of the button, or you can, use the screen on the back to visualize it as well. Now the two detractions I have from this specific camera, which is very nitpicky, okay, is the screen itself. Basically you can tilt it down or have it at this level right here, but it's not a flipper, okay? It doesn't flip out. Now I don't do any vlogging or anything of that nature, but that's not a big thing for me. What I would have liked though is if you could switch this around just so you could protect the screen. Again, nitpicky. I've never had a problem. I don't have any scratches on the screen, and I carry it around with me all day. The other thing is the eye cup that goes around here. And it was probably my fault, but basically it hinges on to the left and then it snaps into place, and I lost it. God knows where. I got another one coming, which should be here tomorrow. And I had a hard time finding it because it's not like there's a lot of parts out there for this type of camera. And actually, you can use it this way, okay? Not a big deal. Just two nitpicky things. But the battery life has been good, and the way I conserve that is every time I need it, I'll just have it hanging down, you know, by my side. I flip on the on switch, boom, that's it, ready to go. Zoom, zoom, whatever. You can have it on automatic if you want, high frame rate. Movie you don't really need because you got a movie button on the back, it does it right away. Most of the time I shoot in manual, but I'll have that set, especially when I'm going outside, I'll have it set to the conditions that are already out there. So again, everything in one camera, including a flash. Now the flash, of course, you know, it's not for a long distance or whatever, but it does come in handy. But you gotta remember to take this off, or else you're gonna catch the top, okay, of the lens hood when you're taking a picture. So remember, if you're taking a flash, to take this off if it's something that's, you know, considerably close to where you are. And this has saved my camera. I got a little nick right here because, you know, you're gonna bump into something or whatever, so it's cheap insurance to keep it on the camera itself. Just pop that right back down. And just like all the high-end cameras, you know you need this. You know, your little screen on the top, which you can you know, put into night mode. Hardly ever use it, but hey, it looks nice. Sometimes it comes in handy. And you got all the programmable buttons and what have you. Now I know I've gone through all this before, but you know, some people may be new to this type of camera. I got this one used, just a little under $1,100. You know, just a great, great buy. Hardly ever used. Had the, there's a remote switch, you know, remote shutter that came with it as well, with the extra battery, which I always keep in my pocket just in case. And the battery charger, which is the, you know, the one you just plug into the wall. It doesn't come with that originally. You know, you just plug it in, you know, USB, you know, to the input here. But the good thing about it is if you have a power brick and you have the right attachment, you can use that as well, you know, if you need power right away. But anyway, long story short, I think for the majority of people, and even for me where I print 13 by 19s mostly, but I can, you know, print in the mural or panoramic mode up to 4 feet, maybe even a little longer. This camera can do it. Okay, I'm not a professional. I don't do portrait work. I don't do studio work. Again, there are cameras out there for those highly, I'm going to say highly professional people, or people that take photos for their job. You know, your high-end, you know, first-class cameras put out by Sony, Canon, Nikon, etc. Okay? They're flagship cameras. Now, when I got the Z8, I was thinking, well, maybe I'll just go with the Z9. No. Didn't even need to go there. The Z8 almost had everything that the Z9 had. You know, and most of the flagship cameras come with, you know, all the connections they need to instantly send their photos out to the publisher or, you know, to their magazine or what have you. Just too much stuff in those cameras that you're never going to use. It's just like, you know, phones, computers, everything that has that high echelon or has all the bells and whistles, you have to ask yourself, as I do myself, am I ever going to use any of that at all, other than the basics? Or just have something that covers most of the bases right here. Anyway, thanks for listening to me, to my rant. But again, I just can't emphasize how nice this camera is. If you get a chance, you know, see if you can rent one, if you can find one to rent to see if it fits your needs. If not, I think if you buy it, you will have no problem enjoying this camera. Until then, have a great week, great month, and great year, and I'll talk to you later. See ya.